Okay, so you want to dive into the world of computer science.
Yeah.
All right, buckle up. Because the stuff you sent over is, well, it's pretty fascinating. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's got the whole how to become a computer scientist thing down, but then it goes deeper. Like it's peeking into how AI is flipping the script, even for computer scientists themselves.
It really makes you think about what makes this field tick. You'd think it's all just like hardcore tech.
Ones and zeros, yeah.
Exactly. But when you look closer, there's this whole human element that can't be ignored, like being able to explain these super complex ideas, but in a way anyone can understand.
Right, right.
And then there's the critical thinking, like really dissecting problems and coming up with elegant solutions. It's huge. And the impact their work has not just on tech, but on society as a whole.
Whoa, okay, so you're saying it's not just about being good at math, it's almost philosophical.
Totally. Think about it. When you're shaping technology that's used by millions, even billions of people, the ethical considerations are enormous.
That's a really good point. Like, I'm thinking about that example from the guide about algorithmic bias. How does that actually play out in a computer scientist's work?
Well, take something like an algorithm used in hiring. A computer scientist designs the system, right? But if the data it's trained on already contains biases, say against certain genders or ethnicities,
Right.
then the algorithm might unintentionally perpetuate those biases, even if the programmer didn't intend for that to happen. So suddenly, this seemingly technical decision has huge social consequences.
Whoa. It's like a domino effect.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. Think about self-driving cars, medical diagnoses, AI. All these things rely on algorithms designed by, you guessed it, computer scientists. Their work touches everything.
You're right. It's almost like they have a hand in shaping the future. So it's not just about the code itself, it's the impact, the ripple effect.
Exactly. They have a responsibility to think not just about the how of technology, but the why and the who as well. It's a pretty powerful position to be in.
No kidding. So from what we're seeing in these materials, it's clear that a computer scientist's job is anything but straightforward.
Definitely not. And that's what makes it so fascinating to unpack.
So it's not straightforward, huh?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that whole tech visionary thing the guide mentioned about how computer scientists can end up in all sorts of places.
Right. Like it lays out these different career stages. You've got entry level, junior, senior. But then what comes after senior?
Six, is there a super senior?
Haha, maybe. The point is, it's not just about climbing a ladder. It's more like imagine a choose your own adventure book, but for your career.
I like that. So less about climbing the ranks and more about branching out, finding your own path.
Exactly. And the guide actually uses these example bios to show you just how diverse those paths can be. You've got folks who started coding and ended up founding billion-dollar companies.
Wow, from code to CEO.
Right. Then you've got others who dive deep into research, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI and machine learning.
So it seems like with computer science, you're not just stuck in one lane. You can swerve.
Exactly. And that's where understanding those core skills, like the functions and core abilities section, becomes so important because those skills can translate to so many different roles and industries.
I see, I see. So it's less about knowing a specific programming language and more about what were those, like problem solving and adaptability.
Exactly. Like take communication skills, for example. You might think, oh, I'm a coder. I don't need to talk to people.
Right, just me and the computer screen.
Exactly. But in reality, whether you're collaborating with a team, explaining your ideas to a client, or even just writing clear, concise code, being able to communicate effectively is huge.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it probably becomes even more important as you move up, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're leading a team.
Totally. Because then it's not just about your own technical abilities. It's about inspiring others, managing projects, making those tough decisions.
So that active learning thing they keep mentioning, the guide says it's needed like 70% of the time. That's intense. Is this a field where you literally never stop learning?
Pretty much. Technology moves so fast. What's cutting edge today might be obsolete tomorrow.
Wow. Okay, so how does a computer scientist even keep up with all that? I mean, where do they even start?
Well, the knowledge and learning section actually gives you a pretty good overview. Like we're talking AI, machine learning, data science.
Okay, yeah, those are definitely buzzwords I've heard.
Exactly. They're not just buzzwords. They're driving massive changes in pretty much every industry. And for a computer scientist, staying on top of those trends is essential.
It's almost like they have to be futurists in a way, like always thinking about what's next.
That's a good way to put it, because they're not just coding for today, they're coding for whatever comes next.
Which brings us to this whole RoleCatcher platform.
Mm,
It seems like it's all about helping people, well, navigate this crazy, always changing tech world.
right. And with AI becoming such a big player in hiring these days.
Oh, yeah, that beat the automated recruiter section. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's a little intimidating, right? But it actually makes a lot of sense. Think about it. If computer scientists are the ones designing these AI hiring tools,
Right.
then wouldn't you want to know how they work?
Okay. Yeah, it's like having the inside scoop.
Exactly. And that's really what RoleCatcher is all about. It's not about tricking the system or anything.
Yep.
It's about understanding it. Because once you understand how these algorithms work, you can make sure you're putting your best foot forward.
So it's like working with the system, not against it.
Precisely. And that's something we can dive into a bit deeper.
So working with the system.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued. But how do we do that? How do we make these algorithms work for us? Especially if, like you said, they're kind of intimidating.
Well, it all comes down to understanding their game, right? It's like they have their rules, these algorithms, they're looking for certain things, certain patterns.
Right, right.
And RoleCatcher, it's like this cheat sheet almost. It helps you decode what those algorithms are looking for so you can highlight your skills and experience in a way that, well, that gets their attention.
It's like speaking their language, basically.
Yeah.
But like you said before, it's not about tricking them.
Exactly. It's about putting your best foot forward, but for a digital audience. It's like, remember those example bios we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
RoleCatcher. It's kind of like that, but on a much bigger scale. It analyzes tons of job descriptions, successful resumes, you name it.
So it's seen what works, basically.
Right. It knows what those hiring algorithms are looking for and helps you present your own experience in a way that, well, that aligns with that.
Okay, so it's like having a secret weapon in your arsenal, something to help you stand out in a sea of applicants. But even with all this talk about AI and algorithms, I still can't help but wonder, what about the human element? Like, don't we still need actual people to, look at our resumes to get a feel for who we are beyond the bullet points?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Even with all this advanced technology, hiring's still a human process, right? We're trying to connect with other people to find the right fit for a team, for a company culture.
Right. It's not just about skills on paper. It's about people.
Exactly. And no algorithm, no matter how sophisticated, can fully replace that human touch. So yeah, those soft skills, those interpersonal qualities, they're more important than ever.
Okay, that's reassuring. Because I was starting to think with all this talk about AI that maybe those human qualities like empathy and creativity were becoming less important.
No, not at all. In fact, you could argue that they're even more crucial now. Because as technology advances, it's those uniquely human qualities that will really set us apart.
So it's not about fearing the rise of the machines. It's about finding that synergy between human ingenuity and technological advancement.
Exactly. And for computer scientists in particular, that means being adaptable, being ethical, being able to think critically about the impact their work has on the world.
It's about using their powers for good, basically.
Exactly. It's about shaping the future of technology in a way that benefits everyone.
Well, that's an inspiring thought to end on, don't you think?
Yeah.
So to wrap things up, we've gone from career paths to AI recruiters to the very future of computer science.
And it's clear that this field is anything but boring.
It's complex. It's always changing. And it's impacting our world in ways we're only just beginning to understand. So for anyone listening who's curious about computer science, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, remember, the most important skill you can have is a willingness to learn. Because in this field, the learning never really stops.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Always keep learning, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one shaping the future of tech.
That's it for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time for another fascinating journey into the world of, well, everything.